From LeBron James's infamous choke during the 2011 NBA Finals to his airness coming up short in the 1995 playoffs, here are some examples of when the biggest NBA stars crumbled under pressure, starting with James Harden and the biggest choke of his career, which pretty much set the tone for what to expect from the rest of the Beard's career. I mean, he's still without a ring, and that's probably why this instance made the list, even though it's probably the only instance where he didn't deliver. He was only 22, yes, and it was only his third season in the NBA, sure, but Harden had already built a reputation of being a solid contributing sixth man up until that point. And with the NBA Finals on the line, Harden was expected to be the key piece of the Thunder's team to defeat the super team of Miami. However, when the lights are the brightest and the crowds are the loudest, it seems like Harden would much rather not be there. He was visibly shaken up by the task at hand, and even though he contributed something to the defense, Harden was abysmal on the offensive end, making only 20% of his shots and a grand total of 4 shots over games 3 and 4. Game 6 was worse as his plus-minus was an atrocious -17 with the Thunder, succumbing to the greatness of that unstoppable Miami side. Unfortunately for Harden, he never really got a chance to right that wrong, considering it's the only NBA final he's ever been to. Unlike Harden though, at least the next entry on the list was fortunate enough to get a second chance. Yep, I'm talking about the great Dirk Nowitzki, who probably wouldn't have been the great Nowitzki if not for the 2011 NBA Finals. And many would have remembered him for the bottle jobs from 2006 and 2007. Considering how good a side that was for Dallas, they should have comfortably made and won the finals. At that time, their regular season record of 67 wins was the 4th highest of all time, and Dirty Dirk was the main man.
And a chance for Dirk to shine here at the end. Mouse in the house, and the trap closes.
He won the MVP that year, and having lost the finals the year before, they were aiming to get their hands on the ultimate prize finally. Their first series, though, was against the We Believe Warriors side, coached by Nowitzki's former coach, Don Nelson. That Golden State side had a lot of swagger, no doubt, but Nowitzki absolutely crapped the bed. The Game 1 loss was a proper sucker punch for the Mavericks, with Nowitzki struggling, and while he shot well in the remainder of the series, he froze in Game 6 again. The German made only 2 of his 13 shots and finished the game with a -25 in 38 minutes of play. The Mavs were blown out 111-86 in the game and were sent packing by a deafening Oracle Arena. At least he made up for it in 2011. But what the Warriors did in 2007 to the high-flying Mavericks was done to them just over a decade later, and their leading superstar crumbled at the biggest stage. Yup, the biggest choke of all time, Steph Curry's Warriors in the 2016 NBA Finals. There is no excuse. The defending champions losing only 9 of their 82 games in the regular season. Who could possibly stop them? Steph was the star of the show, and despite an injury in the playoffs, he returned with a bang in the NBA Finals. The Warriors even took a 3-1 lead in the finals. And then the inevitable choke. Led by LeBron James, the Cavaliers fought back to force a Game 7, but the Warriors just couldn't live with the Cavaliers in Game 7. And it was mostly in part due to Steph shooting 28% from the three-point range. Something which, if you know Curry, you'd know is absolutely blasphemous to even imagine. That was along with 4 fouls, 4 turnovers, and only 2 assists, as the Warriors were on the wrong end of a massive fumble, and Steph was majorly to blame, coming up well short when it mattered most. But as Kevin Durant puts it, only the very best face the highest level of pressure, and that was the case with Kobe Bryant, who would win the NBA championship a total of 5 times in his career, yet also crumble under the pressure of wanting to be the greatest, on a couple of occasions at least. This moment, which came against the Boston Celtics in 2008, proved to be a bit too big for the Black Mamba. With his legacy on the line and a chance to prove his haters wrong by winning a ring without Shaq, and playing against the Boston Celtics, let alone any other side, Kobe choked. And while the entire Lakers side played horrendously in Game 6 of the finals, Kobe had to deal with most of the criticism. That's because he shot shot 7 of 22 and came up with only 3 rebounds and a single assist. Not to mention, he had 4 turnovers and was a -35 in an elimination game. Fair to say, though, that Kobe put it right almost immediately, winning the NBA back-to-back after this capitulation. However, the fact is, not every star can be the leading star on a roster, and gets to learn the truth the hard way, just like Scottie Pippen did in 1995. Having won the three-peat with the Bulls side and MJ running the show, Scottie Pippen failed to deliver during MJ's short sabbatical from the NBA. And now, even with MJ returning to the fore, Pippen just couldn't do much against the Orlando Magic in the second round. He shot a disgusting 2 for 11, with 3 turnovers and 5 fouls, as the Bulls never looked like competing well against the Shaq-led Magic. And despite taking the series to a 6th game, they faltered big time, and Pippen was to blame, even though the #1 option on the Bulls team had a poor outing too. Yep, I'm talking about Michael Jordan's choke in the 1995 playoffs. And while he would certainly make up for it big time, doing a second three-peat, this remains one of the lowest points of his career. Yeah, the Jordan fans will say that he only played 17 games during the season before the playoffs, and while that's true, it probably doesn't justify how much MJ crumbled under pressure in 1995, and there's no harm in accepting that, especially when you look at what he did before and after that. MJ didn't shoot as poorly as Pippen in Game 1, but he did only get 19 points from a massive 22 shots, and ended the night with 8 turnovers. Seeing the GOAT struggle in Game 1 was enough for the Magic to go all the way, even though he immediately replied with 38 and 40 in Games 2 and 3. Despite MJ's greatness, it isn't the worst choke of NBA history by a player. LeBron James crumbled under pressure in 2011, and it was worse than any other NBA star ever. There's absolutely no excuse for what LeBron did in 2011. He was a superstar at that point, he had a fantastic supporting cast around him, and he had been to the NBA Finals before as well, so it wasn't the occasion too big for him. It was just pure choking of the finest quality. The worst part is, LeBron didn't choke in 1 game during the finals, he choked in 3 games, 4, 5, and 6. 4 was definitely the worst though, with 8 points and 4 turnovers, but he didn't get better and cost his team a chance of winning the NBA. As expected, the King was labeled as Le Choker and took a lot of criticism, but I'd say he's managed to turn it around pretty well since then, right?
Jason Terry, good defense. Wade from behind takes it away. Chalmers, Cole, James!
That's all I had on the NBA stars that crumbled under pressure.